This is African American History is American History. By the 1980s, there was a significant change in civil rights here in America, and not for the better. Political conservatives during the Reagan administration led the fight for a pushback against affirmative action and decreased funding for civil rights enforcement. The Reagan administration significantly cut funding for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, as well as other civil rights agencies, to the bone. This limited their ability to enforce anti-discrimination laws. There was also an increased resistance to school desegregation. While segregation had decreased in most areas of the U.S., the Northeast actually saw an increase in segregation, with nearly half of Black students attending almost all minority schools by 1980. In Boston, court-mandated busing, which continued until 1988, touched off a firestorm among many white Bostonians and set in motion waves of racist violence throughout the Commonwealth, starting in 1974. Busing Black students to mostly white schools and vice versa wasn't met with the same acceptance as the desegregation efforts of the late 1950s. Protests and riots took over streets throughout the country. New York City, for example, has a reputation as one of the most culturally diverse cities in the world, and yet, to this day, it still has one of the most segregated school systems in the nation, and has remained so for well over 50 years. In May of 1865, a month after the end of the Civil War, Frederick Douglass said, "Slavery is not abolished until the black man has the ballot." In 1870, Congress passed the 15th Amendment. Now that guaranteed, quote, "The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude," end quote. But Southern states still found ways to circumvent the Constitution and prevent blacks from voting. They were hit with poll taxes, literacy tests, fraud, and intimidation. The grandfather clause, now that's the clause still in effect up until 1915, that said you could not vote unless your grandfather had voted, which of course was an impossibility for most people whose ancestors were, wait for it, slaves. Southern states threw everything at African Americans in order to keep them away from the polls. Until the Supreme Court struck it down in 1915, many states used to keep descendants of slaves out of elections. For decades, brave men and women protested, shouted, marched, got arrested, and even died working toward voting equality for all Americans. And brave men and women are still protesting, shouting, marching, getting arrested, and even dying because all Americans still do not have voting equality. All human beings deserve the basic common courtesies that the American ideals promote. Unfortunately, Not every American is afforded the privileges that are extended to the average white American. Democracy's most formidable enemies and detractors are right here in America. That's right, folks. The call is coming from inside the House. Far-right would-be dictators like Donald Trump and his cult of followers, anti-Semitic, racist, and isolationist policies and rhetoric do nothing to live up to our patriotic beliefs. They only serve to make our country a place where all the people are less free and unequal. This has been African American History is American History. I'm Harlan Kearsley. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe. Once you do, you'll be notified as soon as new episodes are posted. Thanks again, and please stay safe. African American History is American History. Copyright H.C. Kearsley, 2025.